So if
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. I'm imagining that there will be additional folks who are coming online as the program continues. But thank you for joining us on our second installment of From Here to There, finding the career path into various fields. Today, we are talking about technology. And we are currently joined by Mr. Colin Boyd, who is Vice President and Chief Information Officer of Komatsu Mining Corporation. And of course, right now we also have our own two USM representatives, Mr. Shoup and Ms. Lucyk, who spend an awful lot of time in the Innovation Center with all of you. So today we're going to find out a little bit more about the career trajectories. We will have another person joining us, I hope. Mr. Robert Cordova, Chief Technology and Strategy Officer of Milwaukee Bucks and Fiserv Forum. And I am Susan Zarwell, Director of College Guidance, and I work with the Internship and Shadowing Program. And that is the sponsor of today's program to help students sort of figure out how to move into particular careers. So Colin, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about how you got to where you are right now, what you do on a day-to-day basis, and where you think your industry is going. For students, as you listen, if you have questions that come up, please feel free to type them into the Q&A. And at the end, we'll hear more from USM about how you can take advantage of current opportunities here at school. Colin, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so please do type in some questions for Susan, so I don't have to talk without stopping for however many minutes it's going to be. Yeah, so hi everyone, English accent, so you can probably tell my IT career started on the other side of the Atlantic, and then moved to the USA in 2009. I'm probably a very bad example to give because my career was kind of mostly accidental. So hoping all of you guys are going to do a far better job than I did. So if we go back to the beginning, I was kind of on the science, mathematics end of things at school. So yeah, you know, maths and physics. Ended up going to college, did engineering. And this was kind of in the early days of the computer revolution, you might call it. And then after the first degree in engineering, I did a master's degree in computer science. And that really sort of then set the path of heading down a career in IT. Does the college degree that you pick matter? No, I mean, I have some arts graduates in, but certainly if you're looking for a career in IT, my recommendation would be head to something that's kind of at the scientific mathematical end of it, that has at least a mathematical content. If you want to do computer science, that's brilliant. But as long as you're at the science end of the spectrum, I think that'll be completely fine. And it's changed a little since my day. We do much more interns. So we more or less recruit from an intern pool. So in a normal year that isn't COVID, we would have maybe a dozen IT interns. We take them from the local colleges. So again, you don't need to go to MIT. We take all of our interns from the immediate geographic area. So the Marquettes and USMs, MSOEs, Madison, a few from Chicago. But honestly, we don't have too many applicants to come up here to Milwaukee from San Diego. So I started off, so I ended up doing computer science. And then I ended up working for a company called Logica. So it's a software house. So I think there's a basic division in IT between people who work in IT for a company like I do now. Komatsu, if you haven't heard of them, by the way, they make big yellow machines and a competitor to Caterpillar. So large construction, mining, etc. Large yellow machines, that's what we do. You can take a career from college into the IT companies that create the products. So an example would be Microsoft, Google, Oracle. There's many of them. It's a constantly changing landscape, but you will end up with a decision ultimately between the big established players like a Microsoft and the more innovative, smaller startups. So it depends which kind of culture you like working in. You want that big company environment, or do you like the flexibility and the excitement, if you like, of the smaller startups? But essentially what you're doing is creating products. So depending on the culture, it could be really interesting or just okay interesting. It would have been fun to have been at Google when, you know, Bryn comes along and says, I've had an idea. We're going to map the entire planet, turn the whole thing into a complete picture. You'll be able to log onto the website, drill into the map, show photographs of the street from any angle. We're going to photograph the planet, every house, every street, everything. And it's all going to be in the Google Maps, and it's going to be cool. Yeah, okay, boss. Yeah, that'll be an interesting challenge. So you get some cool stuff like that, but equally you get other stuff that's not quite as cool, but you know, you're still developing new products. Then there are the people like me who take those products and stitch them together and apply them to a business. So I had some interns a few years ago when I worked at Johnson Controls from USM. And we did a review with them at the end of, they were with us for about a month, I think. And I said, you know, so how was it? Was it what you expected? No, it wasn't what we expected at all. So I don't know if you're all familiar with a cartoon called Dilbert, but essentially they were expecting to be put into a cubicle with sort of wall on three sides and a keyboard and a screen and told to write software code. And they came back and they said, you guys don't really do that, do you? No, not very much. What we do is try and understand the requirements of the business and what the business needs as it's moving forwards. And then we translate that into how do we support the business, and then what stuff do we need to buy, stitch and assemble and bring together to turn a bunch of like software products into a solution for the business, and then implement it and train people on it and try and take the business forward. So most of my team, we don't really write software. We don't create stuff like that. What we do, our creativity is in selecting from all of the different software products that's out there, stitching it all together in a coherent way and implementing it in a business. So for us, the big challenges are understanding the business and then having to understand IT. So we're a bridge between the business and the technology. So if you ask me really what my role is, it's to try and apply technology to the company to help the company, protect the company in many areas, but certainly to take the company forward in terms of where are we going to go with the business going forward. So you can imagine COVID hit early last year. All of a sudden, everyone's out of the office buildings. Okay, Colin, we just need to have 16,000 people working at home. Well, that's interesting because they don't all have laptops. A chunk of them have desktops. Well, find a solution. We've got to get them laptops so they can work at home. Then they're going to need networks that they can connect back into the company. Oh, and by the way, if you could make those secure, that would be nice because we don't want anything lost on the networks as it's coming in. And then how do you give them access to all of the applications they need to do their jobs now that they're all at home and none of them are in the office? Well, how are you going to print stuff out? We've got big systemized printers that can print high volume. Well, not much good at home. Or the big engineering printers that print on the giant pieces of paper. So all of a sudden you're in a full-on crisis and you have to find a solution. Colin, we need a solution to 16,000 people working at home and we've got to keep the company going. All yours. So that's the kind of thing that we do. Or our service techs can't go to the customer sites anymore. We can't put a technician on site. We need some kind of virtual reality headwear that we can ship to the end customer, that they can give it to one of their engineers, they can stick it on the head, and then one of our engineers sat safely at home somewhere in Wisconsin can talk to their guy who is allowed to go to their machine and tell them what to do, how to fix, how to service, how to repair. So we need a full virtual reality, augmented reality. Can you just get that sorted? Or if you could, yeah, if you could just get on the headset, could we bring up the engineering drawings and the repair instructions and everything up on a head-up display? Because these techs for the customers don't have the same knowledge as our guys. That would be useful if we could put that on the head-up displays as well. So then what I'll be doing is, okay, I need network components. I'm going to need a virtual reality headset. I'm going to need a way to download engineering drawings. I'm going to need a database of the engineering drawings. So we bring all of the components together and we're trying to build a solution for, okay, we now have to enable our customers to do work on the machines with our guidance and support that's all remote. And our people aren't even in the office. Most of them are sat at home. So that's what IT does in my world, if you like, in terms of IT working for a company. If you look at some companies these days in, say, like the finance sector, industrial sector, they really are their IT. You know, a bank is its IT or nothing. If the IT goes down, the bank is gone. In other areas, again, IT gets to be extremely critical. Air traffic control would spring to mind. Not good when their computer system goes down. But just think about the economic impact of the US if the computer systems went down for the New York Stock Exchange for 2 or 3 days. So the criticality of IT to the world continues to increase on a near day-by-day basis. So, you know, one of the challenges for the industry at the moment is, how do we do everything with 0 outages, never down? Think about the last time Amazon crashed for 2 days and nobody could order anything on Amazon. You have to move into a world where you don't let that ever happen. And that's easier said than done. And then the challenge for the other areas, it's a great area to be for not being bored. So if anyone's thinking about a career in finance, I shall apologize now. My brother's in finance. I like to wind him up and say, you know, I know what you're going to be doing at the end of the quarter, closing the books. I know what you're going to be doing at the end of next quarter, closing the books. And the quarter after that, closing the books. But if I look back at what I've seen in terms of change over my time in IT, since the late Jurassic, it's been huge. It's transformational. My 12-year-old can't envisage the world that I started in. Try and explain to a 12-year-old, there's no internet, there's no PCs, there's no Xbox, there's no PlayStation, there's no Google, there's no Amazon. Beyond his comprehension. Can't conceive of that world. Well, that was the world I started in. Honestly, if you start in IT today, you know, as a career, I have no idea what world you'll be working in 2050 and 2060. All I can guarantee you is it isn't going to look anything like this one. So what you end up in IT is wave after wave of innovation and change coming at you. Again, giving you a history lesson, it used to be mainframes, and then these personal computer things hit, taking over the world. And then a little company called Microsoft comes out of nowhere. And then you get a Google coming out of nowhere. And then this internet takes off and changes the world. Now, the internet is as big a revolution as the printing press, as the spoken language. It is utterly changing everything and will continue to do so. And I don't know where the next wave is going to come. Is it going to be artificial intelligence? You guys are going to be sat in vehicles being driven by an AI. It's coming, for sure. We're just not quite sure when, but it's coming as the next wave of innovation. So one of the things I like about IT is it's never boring, it's never dull. Whether you're working for a company creating the stuff or like me stitching it all together, the next wave of innovation is going to be upon us, one after another. And I don't know where it's going to go. I could never have predicted 2020 when I started my IT career. Just had no idea what was coming. And I don't think anyone has. So the nice thing is, if you're in IT, you do kind of get to create the future. You know, whoever invented the internet has changed the world probably more than any other human being in history. I think that's a fair comment. Or whoever invented cell phones. You know, some people hate cell phones, but I'm sure none of you would ever want to live in a world without a cell phone. So, you know, that was just 2 or 3 guys in a company called Ericsson. One guy invented the World Wide Web. You know, he should be the most famous human in history. He should be up there with Einstein. So you guys can go and look up his name. Occasionally you get mega rich. So one of you guys might be the next Zuckerberg or a Bill Gates or a Steve Jobs. It's possible. But most of us just kind of live within our IT world, and we get paid and we go to work and the rest of it, and it's okay. Downsides, well, if you want to be a CEO and the boss of the company, don't go into IT. CEOs never come from IT. So I'm a CIO. I will never be a CEO. The only way to be a CEO is to have your own company. So you want to be Bill Gates, well, I'll have my own company and then I'll be the CEO. That's fine. But yeah, if that's your aspiration, then yeah, don't go into IT. Head finance or sales, or maybe legal. But if you're happy with a career in IT, then I've no real regrets. I can't say I deliberately planned it when I was your age and that's what I'm going to do with my life. I wasn't that clever and that smart, to be honest. I ended up in engineering and then sort of IT because it was cool. This new computer stuff was cool. So that was really why I ended up in it. And then I think it worked out as far as I'm concerned. I'm happy with it. I like the variety. I like the constant change. The pace of change is relentless. It's not slowing down at all. Don't see any sign of that. And I like being the bridge between technology and the business, that you've got a foot in both camps. And if you're really going to succeed in the world I'm in, that's the bridge, you have to have the business understanding on one side, and you have to have the technology understanding on the other, and be able to apply that technology to the business. How are we doing on questions, Suzanne? Because I'm still talking.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, Robert Cordova, he is not able, he had a hard 2 p.m. stop. He was able to hop on for a little while, but not enough to be able to present. So he'll come back and we'll have another session and do that. But I'm wondering if in the time that we have left, I've got a couple of questions for you. And then also, Nikki, I'd love for you to hop on about different things that kids can be doing here while they're here at USM. Colin, you obviously have a strong hand in various hiring positions and work closely with human resources in helping to develop your teams. Could you talk a little bit about both the hard and soft skills you are seeking in potential hires?
Yeah, so the soft is more important than the hard. So I might be upsetting some college people here. The college is less important than people think. We don't, we must go to MIT and Harvard or Caltech. We don't want to have anyone from Marquette. Wrong. We have found some rock star interns in the local colleges and do not feel any need that we need to go to an MIT or a Caltech in order to find the brains of the next generation. There's plenty of smarts where we are. We are slanted, as I said, towards the sciences. So I'm not saying we'd never hire somebody with a psychology degree, but if we get a choice between a maths degree or a psychology degree or an engineering, we probably will head down the math side. But the honest truth is the most important thing in the interview is the soft skills. It's the character of the person. We're looking for team players. It's not, IT isn't the lone genius sat in the corner. That happens very occasionally. It does. If you are the lone genius, maybe. But for the rest of us, the other 99%, we're looking for those abilities to work as a team, communication and collaborate with colleagues. Everything these days is too big to be done almost at an individual level. So we're looking for people that can come in and fit in with a culture, contribute, but you're not going to be that sat in the corner writing code on your own and not talking to anyone. It's that team player ability. So we're looking for social skills, communication skills, And it's really the first and the biggest question is always, do we think this person will be a fit for us as a team? Or is this person going to be a clash with the team that we've got? So obviously different companies have a different cultures, but not as different as people think. You know, some are more aggressive, some are softer. I worked at Johnson Controls that had different divisions, and you could tell clearly a different culture in each division. The automotive guys were more punchy, more aggressive, different language, different body language. The buildings guys were more softly spoken, and they weren't quite nearly as aggressive, far more collaborative. So be sensitive to the culture of the company that you're looking to go into. And then just make sure you're solid. If you've got a solid degree, and you've got a decent subject, personal skills, we're looking for a good team player who can come in and contribute across the areas. We're not looking for individual rock stars. And if you don't get into MIT, don't worry about it. Every company I know recruits locally. So the other CIOs, I have a good friend of mine who's a CIO in Atlanta. Well, she hires like me within a 50-mile range in Atlanta. She doesn't feel any need to go up to Milwaukee and vice versa. So kind of wherever you go, it will be fine. Finish your degree, make sure you get it, and get an internship, get an internship, get an internship, get an internship, get an internship. I try and buy. So, we have that sort of 5, 10 interns, and each year, depending on the vacancies we get, we will, oh yeah, we need to hire that one. Oh yeah, yeah. So we cherry pick. We honestly do. We'll pull out the top interns, and they're the ones that we give the job offers to.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That is good advice for everyone to listen to. And Mr. Shuk, Ms. Lucyk, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about this. Where can students best practice these skills and learn more about things from your perspectives, both in the Innovation Center and through various classes, transcript designation programs, and so on? Nikki, you're still muted.
Sorry about that, guys. John can speak to this more and elaborate on it, but the distinction in innovation was designed to give kids the opportunity to apply these skills that they're in math and computer science in the real world. So whether their project that they work on is to make recycled bicycles into motorized bikes, or whatever it is, it's to solve a problem and work with people so that they're developing their EQ and their skill set at the same time. Or like robotics, they are going to be doing a lot of community work, community engagement, where they're going to be working on understanding other people. They're developing their self-awareness and their social awareness, which Mr. Boyd was referring to, because we really want them to be good social human beings that want to work with other people to solve big problems. So John, do you want to elaborate just a little bit more on the robotics piece?
Sure, be happy to. Anything that we do with robotics is run out of the Innovation Center, and we try to stress from day one. And I really like what Mr. Boyd had said about that teamwork mentality. That's really what we do strive for with our robotics teams. We do try to get them to work in small groups, work together, collaborate, share information. And they learn very quickly that our robotics program is not just robots. It's not just building something out of tin. There's a lot of writing, there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of presenting. People want answers, and the answer isn't just because we have a screwdriver and some aluminum that we appropriately win a competition. So we do have over, how many people now in the program? We have over 60 people in the robotics program, which is fantastic. We have it in all 3 levels, lower school, middle school, and upper school. And I think this year was a true testament to the transition that we make from getting our kids through all of those programs. I will tell you that robotics is impossible online. But we have been working very hard to keep everybody really, really focused and doing things virtually, which is really, really cool. It was a good challenge. Nikki, what else can I say about that? Anything?
You know, I was just thinking about what goes along with robotics, all the community service work that we do, and then some of the skills that are in the other courses. So we talk about the innovation distinction. There's different attributes that you learn by taking the courses that are part of that distinction. So they teach you how to really formulate questions that require deeper inquiry to solve big problems, like Mr. Boyd started discussing, you know, when everybody went remote, how to be able to do that in a clear and concise way. It teaches you just how to build skills and innovation. So you're going to think creatively, critically, prototype, use design thinking, fabricate things, test them. And then just to develop some competencies in innovation so that you're self-aware about identity, culture, and you respect differences of other people so that you're that slam dunk person doing the innovation or the, the internship that Mr. Boyd referred to that they want to snap up. So I think it's the robotics program's one facet of it, but the coursework that's part of the robotics the innovation distinction helps to inculcate and develop those skills that you're going to need for the positions that he's referring to. And also, I'd just like to point out that a lot of the kids that have gone through our robotics program that are now graduating from college, I get phone calls all the time from companies nearby in town, really good ones that are interested in them as candidates for jobs. So it might be SkyGen or Wonderbox Technologies. So the program actually works when you go to college. If you finish college, you can have internships like Colin, Mr. Boyd suggested, but also these companies are seeking you out. So that's a real plus.
All right, one question did come in and we need to adjourn in just a few minutes. But Mr. Boyd, I'm wondering, can you tell us, does Komatsu offer any high school internship opportunities? And just based on what you know from the field, what might a high school internship look like on the company side?
The answer is normally yes, currently no. So at the moment with COVID, I'm under an HR directive. I'm not allowed to have any interns. So we very sadly had to send the interns home. Yeah, so we have done it. We do some high school ones. Typically it's a summer vacation. Obviously doesn't run during the semesters. So normally it was around, I think we did a month. It was either 4 or 6 weeks over the summer. They were paid, but I wouldn't say vastly lucrative, but you do get paid. What would happen is that the interns would be assigned to a project team. So no, let me rephrase that. Typically, they would be assigned to a project team. So an existing project team, which might have 6 or 8 people, say working on a remote home working thing, you would have 2 interns assigned to the team and you would work with that team. So you would be in a live working environment and contributing to a team. That's what we do for all of the high schools. At the college, we have done some more experimental stuff. Okay, 3 interns, artificial intelligence, go away, come back in 6 months and impress us. So we have done that with okay, let us know what help you need, but, come back and just blow us away with what you've managed to do in 6 months. And some of them have. I mean, it's kind of like, just stunning. You did this in 6 months. We've had interns writing mobile phone, cell phone applications for the companies. Like, oh, we've done this new cell phone application. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we'll roll that one out. So that's typically more at the college intern. Normally when we're doing the high schools, rather than kind of throw everyone in just at the deep end, it's going to be, okay, we'll assign you to a team so you'll have more guidance and direction. But you won't be, it's not antisocial. You will not be sat in a cubicle on your own with no one to talk to all day. Here, just go and write this code and sat on a keyboard talking to your computer for the day. It ain't going to be like that. Definitely not. So I'm hoping like everyone else that, you know, we can get this kind of COVID thing under control and we can reactivate internships in time. So I know you guys, USM, have a program with local companies and the rest of it. Let's just hope we get, you know, the opportunity we can bring interns in time. Honestly, I don't think we can do it remote because the induction is so difficult. You know, by the time you're trying to get up to speed, if I can't get people on site, really difficult. So keep your fingers crossed. The answer is yes, if COVID allows.
Okay. Well, that's helpful to know the difference between structured and unstructured, and hopefully just hearing what you've had to say about the importance of not only technical skills, but soft skills and collaborative work, and the opportunities that students have to practice that here and to learn both in and out of the classroom. Students are walking away from this event this afternoon with some better questions to ask as they're looking at colleges and also thinking about different opportunities they might wish to pursue. It certainly opens up many more avenues to them to develop the skills that would be useful in a technical field and elsewhere as well. So with that, mindful of the clock and knowing you need to get to class, everybody, thank you very, very much for joining us this afternoon. And Mr. Boyd from Komatsu Mining Corporation, thank you very much for sharing your history and your insights into the field and looking ahead what the next generation will bring to it. We're very appreciative of your time and expertise. So
Very
thank
welcome.
you. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Lucyk. Thank you, Mr. Shoup. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.